So now you've got your great idea and you're excited about what you're writing about, but now you might be thinking, well, the problem is there's so much material to read in my chosen area. I don't think I'm going to be able to read all this material and write in the deadline that I have. There just isn't time. Well, that's why step 2 is so important. Step 2 shows you how to cut your hours of reading by 50% and start writing sooner. This enables you to spend time where it matters and get that first class mark or your work published. Now, many students feel overwhelmed by monster reading lists, page after page of books and articles and websites that are relevant for their course. Even the essentials reading list sometimes seems unmanageable, and this can send many students into information overload. There is so much you could read, so many books and papers, so many different directions you could take, lots of competing arguments. Reading lists aren't put together with the intention of you reading everything on them. I mean, most professors haven't read all of the stuff on their reading lists. This was something I learned when I was doing my master's degree, when one of my professors admitted that several of the references on the reading list he'd never even read, and I was really shocked. It's important to understand that reading lists are put together for several reasons. One of those reasons is to give you options. So, for example, if one reference in the library isn't available to you, often you'll be given alternative references so that you actually do have something to look at. Another reason is that over time, reading lists get added to over and over and things don't get taken out. So over years, they just grow and grow. It doesn't mean stuff's irrelevant, but it just means that they just become much, much bigger than they were at the beginning. Another reason that reading lists are so long is that many subjects are approached and written about from competing perspectives and positions. And often your teachers will want you to be aware of these positions and these different perspectives so that you can see where you stand on a subject. And this gives you the chance to write from a position that makes sense to you. In sociology, for example, the same topic will be written about from Marxist, feminist, interactionist, and post-modern perspectives, to name just a few. Now, all of these perspectives will have generated their own literature on the same topic, and so the reading lists expand. Many students don't know this and are afraid of leaving information or references out of their writing. They fear they will be penalised for this, or they think if they don't read everything, they will miss something vital, or they think they have got to read books from cover to cover, just like they would read a novel. All these views are false and just waste time. That's why you need to learn a technique called targeted reading. Targeted reading enables you to be selective. It allows you to identify the books and papers you need to extract relevant information and ignore the rest. Because of that, it saves you time and effort and still gives you high outcomes. With targeted reading, it's a bit like being on a mystery trail. As long as you start at the right point and know how to read the signposts along the way, you will end up at the right place easily and quickly. You won't have got lost, taken any unnecessary detours, or wasted time. You will have followed the trail to where you want to be, even though at the beginning you didn't know where the path would take you. On the other hand, not doing targeted reading is like not being able to read any of the signposts and then taking wrong turns and going down dead ends. And this takes twice as long and leads to feeling overwhelmed and exhausted by the end. So what are some top tips for targeted reading? Well, first, scan introductory and essential texts that are listed in your reading list. Usually these are in a separate section or asterisk. Along with your lecture notes, scan or read quickly these documents, and whilst you're doing that, note the following. What are some of the themes and concepts that keep coming up? What are some of the unique expressions and language associated with this field? What are some of the main arguments and positions taken by writers or perspectives? Is there any evidence or any findings that are benchmark studies, things that have defined the field? And who are the key players or thinkers and writers? Make a list of these, and these are your key terms. Next, using these key terms and with books that you've identified as relevant, identify and extract relevant chapters, sections, even paragraphs and individual sentences by scanning the contents pages and the index of any relevant book. With papers, focus on the abstract, keywords, and these are usually listed after the abstract, and the paper's sections and subheadings for relevance and key points for your argument. Remember, always quote or cite any material that you use, never just copy anything. If you're writing a longer master's dissertation of perhaps 40,000 words, or particularly when you're writing a doctoral thesis, the same principles do apply, but there is an additional strategy that you can use, and that is the systematic search of multiple databases. And when you're searching these databases, you need to use your key terms, what we call Boolean operators such as the and or function, various filters that relate to your particular topic or question, and the headings that a database uses when it's indexing information. Targeted reading means that you read only the things that are relevant and useful to you in your writing, and you can ignore the rest. Doesn't that sound so much easier?